Yeah.
Can you guys start? Yeah. Okay. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أفضل المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وبعد. جزاكم الله خير for coming. I came early. We planned to start early, but you can see every time something happens. It's the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So jazakum Allah khair for being patient. By the way, is my sound high enough? Can you guys hear me in the back? Is it fine? Hi. Can you come forward, please? Yeah, take care. Here, inshallah. طيب, I start with a small dua and a small reflection before we can continue. And a dua that I want us to contemplate on. Very short from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but very powerful. Allahumma alhimni rushdi wa qini sharra nafsi. The translation would be, Oh Allah, alhimni, inspire me. In sometimes thoughts, inspirations come from Allah. Inspire me with my rushd. Rushd would be translated as guidance, but it's not accurate enough. And protect me from what? From the evils within me. And in this dua, subhanAllah, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is actually teaching one of the companions this dua, is that some of the most biggest enemies we have is actually within us. Seeking refuge from the evil capability that's within me, my own ego. Now the word rushd, to start with, is in a very interesting way. It is not just guidance. Rushd is a very interesting word. Rushd is a person with the correct vision. Rushd is the ability to see beautiful as beautiful and ugly as ugly. Is to see things the way they are. So basically the Prophet ﷺ here, and it's a very fine difference. Guidance, you can be guided without knowing. Meaning what? If you ask me, where is the masjid? I can tell you, take this road, go left, go right? You can follow my instructions, but you do not see where you're going. As long as you're following the instructions, you're being guided. But you have no idea, you do not see. Versus someone else who tells you, you want to go to the masjid? He takes you out and see, there is the masjid over there. To reach there, take left, take right. So while you're going to the masjid, while you're being directed or guided, you see where you're going. Rushd is an inner state of the heart by which the heart can distinguish good as good and evil as evil. Why am I saying this? Slips, sins, sayyi'at are all supposedly ugly things. How do we fall in them? We fall in them, number one, when we fail to see their ugliness. I'll give you a very simple example. You're all fasting, right? If I was to bring here a cheesecake or something, everybody would like to eat that. But what would you do if you saw a cockroach coming out of that cheesecake? Would you like to eat it? How about some worms inside? If you saw that, you seeing that cockroach inside will make you do what? I don't want to eat it at all. A person who still eats that cheesecake, he must have not seen what's inside. Are you getting it? So similarly, when we say Allahumma alhimni rushdi, and it's in Surah Al-Hujurat, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانِ وَزَيَّنَهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكُفْرَ وَالْفُسُوقَ وَالْعِصْيَانَ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الرَّاشِدُونَ. It is Allah that made belief beloved to you, beautiful to you, and decorated it in your heart, and made this belief hateful for you. Those are people of rushd. With that, inshallah, we start where we stopped, and again try to carry on our lecture, which is what? When the righteous slip, right? And last time we were discussing different types of slips, right? And we stopped in a slide, carry on that, it's all about our relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you remember that, and we discussed something about the survey, and I want to take it from here today. Basically, what we're going to be discussing today, how do we perceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How do I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What type of attachment do we have? Basically, in a very simple way, as we discussed in the two other lectures, a human being is a relational being. We were created to relate. It's in us. And the utmost relation is the relation between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But relations, even between human beings, can be of different types. I can have a relation with you that's fearful. I can have a relation with you that's loving, right? So our relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the type of attachment we have to Him, can we quantify it? What is it? Right? Why is that important? That has to do everything with our ability to go through this life. When we slip, what will happen to us? How will we act? Is based on what? How we perceive Allah. When something good happens in our life, how we act is based on what? How we perceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So basically, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to quickly show you a very interesting way to assess the styles of attachment in general. And some conclusions. So basically, before I start, this is a quick comment. The human being has so many needs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human, everybody sitting here has needs. Yes, there is physical needs, right? There is needs for provision, needs for water. But one of the needs that the human being needs the most is what? The need for love. The need for attachment. As I said, we're created as a relational human being. Now, we were created to relate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but when we were first born, what is our first experience of love? Look, when we're born, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us provision, right? He provides. He provides water and He provides sustenance through the trees, through the clouds, through rain, right? Alhamdulillah. And those things give us what we need. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that when we are born, we need more than that. We need what? We need to be loved. We need to experience that. How does Allah give us love? For 2 years old, 3 years old, you're not going to tell him Allah loves you. He cannot perceive that yet. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides love to the baby. Our first experience of love is through our parents. And basically the way I want you to see it is the following. And parents, they know this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He gives us a child, He gives in our heart, we don't do anything. We find there is somehow, I love this kid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me a child and He gives me the gift of what? Love in my heart. I'm supposed to do what? Deliver this kind of love to my son or my daughter. And when they grow up, based on this first relation, then they use it to relate to spouses, maybe the society, they relate to their children, and later on, when they perceive Allah, basically, is there a relation between the way we perceive Allah and the way our parents treated us? It's a very interesting question. And we'll see that maybe perhaps there is, and one has to be very careful with that. Right? And what I'm saying is the following. If Allah wants to give me love, and He gives it to the parent, what if the parent chose to make the love conditional? You understand what I'm saying? Son, I love you if. Then this kid can stop. What if the parents that were supposed to give their son love, they became the source of threat, abuse for the kid? Then this son, when he grows up, his perception of what it means to relate and love becomes what? Distorted. Later on, his relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might become distorted. Are you following? Alhamdulillah. So now let's go to the main points now. How do I attach? And this is a very general concept. A human being, when we love, when we form an attachment, what is it based on? It's based on two things, and please understand that. When you relate even with your wife, with your husband, with Allah, it's based on two things. One, how you perceive the object of attachment. For example, my relation with my father is based on what? How do I perceive him? Is he gentle? Is he loving? Or is he going to punish me? The way I perceive my father is going to dictate what? How I relate with him. So the first dimension is what? Our perception. So when I ask you, what is your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The first answer to that is what? How do you perceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the image of Allah in your head? This will determine what style of attachment you have with Him. Right? So basically, the answers here is what? A kid who has a father. The first question is the following. Is my father dependable? Does he love me? Can I trust him? Is he forgiving? If I make a mistake, will he forgive me? Right? Those are questions in a baby's head. Similarly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Now, the other dimension is what? Is me. Meaning what? This son can sometimes see my father is a great person. But you know what? Am I lovable? Am I worthy of love? I have defects. You know, everybody sitting here, one thing the human being has, we're aware of our own selves. And sometimes we're aware of our own mistakes. And that makes us wonder, you know what? With all what's going on with me, will people ever love me? Am I lovable? Are you following? So there are two dimensions. One is our perception of what? Allah, our parents, right? How are they? The second is our perception of ourselves. Are you following this? Now, based on this, we can say the following. What is your thought of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is an ayah in the Quran. إفكا آلهة تريدون دون الله فما ظنكم برب العالمين. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he went to his people, he asked them this: you're taking idols? What does that mean? You know, when you take idols and you're worshipping idols, wait a minute, what does that mean? It means you cannot go to Allah straight. You see, what made you take an idol? Is Allah far? Is Allah not listening to you? Why do you need an idol? What does that say about what? About Allah. So the question that the Quran poses for everyone, فَمَا ظَنُّكُمْ بِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ? What is your thought? How are you thinking about Allah? When you sleep, what is your thought of? Is Allah going to punish you? What image do you have of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your head? What goes on within there? And therefore, people have different images of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is actually something that, interestingly enough, in Muslim communities, I found, especially among the youth, to be very prevalent. Many of our young, and I tell you why. Many of the young youth, their image of Allah is what? Like a cop. You know, is a cop something bad? A cop is not something bad. It's for security, it's for safety, right? I want him. But the problem with a cop, what? Can you have a relation with him? Can you go hug him? Can you have a personal? They're not intimate, right? So if your view of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the universal cop, meaning what? Allah has rules. And He's watching. The moment you make a mistake, you know, if you're driving on the highway and there is a cop, if you drive 85, what happens? Take it. Right? So some people, they're treating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as such as like what? What should I do so that you don't give me a ticket? And the moment I make a mistake, what will happen? Sorry. Right? He's a cop. Is that my image of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a cosmic universal cop? And sometimes, unfortunately, and you have to think, maybe our parents, they intended good. But sometimes that's what they teach their son, if you don't do this, you'll go to hell. Son, if you know what I mean? And then they have that image of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like that. Now, and we need to assess this. Some other people, and this is also very interesting, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a distorted image. Isn't Allah just? One of His divine names is Al-Adl. Right? But when you say Allah, what comes to their head is what? The first image is this. Judgment, al-adl, fairness, right? Yes, Allah's adl, yes, Allah's just. But where is His compassion? Where is His rahmah? Now, this has a problem. And I'll just say it quickly here. Sometimes when we are like this, when we view Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a cop, as a judge, even when we look to the Quran, all of a sudden, Islam becomes like what for us? Do's and don'ts. Halal and haram. Black and white. Nothing else. And I'm going to ask you a question. The Quran has how many verses? 6,000 plus, right? 6,237 verses. How many verses of those you think are about fiqh? You know, legislation, rulings. How many? Take a guess. 5. No, more than 5. All the rulings, you know, inheritance, divorce, you know, you tried anything. They're between 200 and 300. How many verses are there in the Quran about penal law? You know, our obsession with Sharia is what? Sharia equals punishment. How many verses are in the Quran total? 8. How many verses are in the Quran about politics, political systems, how to rule, you know? We need to take power and we need to rule, and less than 50. Wait a minute, what are all the other verses about? It's about what? Tawheed. Who's Allah? The hereafter. Angels, right? The matters of stories of the other prophets. But sometimes our view of Quran itself becomes what? Very legal. We walk around wearing legal lenses, and I can give you examples upon examples on this. Look, A man once, he's a rich man and he was, fasting, and he did something to, he didn't satisfy his fast. He went to his wife and right. So he came to the, he came for the faqih to give him, what will I do? Right? So he told him the following: yes, you can either fast 60 days or you can feed, right, 60 people. But you're so rich, you're a prince, right? That man was very rich. If I tell you feed 60 people, what will happen? You're going to do it every day. You're very rich, right? So for you, I'm going to say what? You fast 60 days. Are you following the example? A rich man comes and expiation for him is, a king. Feeding 60 people is nothing, right? Freeing 60 slaves is, or freeing a slave is nothing for him. So that faqih told him what? No, you fast, right? So he went to another sheikh, and the other sheikh told him what? No, go ahead, free people, feed people. So people like us. Which fatwa do you like better? Be honest. Here is a king who did something wrong, and there is an expiation for him. Either he frees a slave, feeds people, or he better fast 60 days. Which one would you pick for him? Fasting. Brothers? And that's the other faqih. He said, when people became so upset, why did you tell him to free a slave? Why did you tell him to feed people? And he said, Subhanallah, Ya akhi, let him free a man. A man is going free. People are being fed. Let him, if he sleeps every day and he frees people, let people be free. But see, most of us are interested in what? Punishing him. Punishing him takes precedence over what? Feeding people? Are you crazy? Do you get what I'm saying? Which is better? Freeing a slave, of course it's better, right? But some of us, it's about what? Punishment. You see how we're thinking? A sheikh once, it happened in Egypt, he was telling people about orphans, and if you wipe your hand on an orphan's head, right? With each hair that passes under your hand, Allah gives you a reward, hasan. Question, ya sheikh, yes, what if the orphan is bald? Right? And this legal lens is very dangerous. We cannot walk around in life with wearing halal haram lenses. Islam is bigger than that. That's very dangerous. Allah is much bigger than that. So that's another way. And here is another hadith I love this hadith actually. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This image in our head, it's my right. You know this? I don't give my right. Right? It happened with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aisha radiallahu anha narrates, she was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and she heard two people outside the door coming to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for arbitration. And they can hear them quarreling. One of them is saying what? Dah anni, relieve me of my debt. Put some of it. I can't pay it. It is so hard. And the other man say, no, by Allah, never. Ya akhi, relieve me. No, wallahi, it is my right. Never. What did the Prophet sallallahu? Is it his right, by the way? From a fiqh perspective, is it his right? It is. Now, what will the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam do? If they come to you, and this is again the judge, right? The judge would say what? You pay him. Justice. But was that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You know what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said? And look at it. It's amazing. He went outside and he said the following. من المتآلي على الله ألا يصنع المعروف. Powerful statement. Who is it who's making an oath with Allah's name, swearing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he insists on not doing good? What are you saying? That man is saying what? By Allah, I'm not going to be generous. By Allah, I'm not. You're using Allah's name and you're making an oath by Him that you don't want to be good. Now, when he said that, this man said what? It is me, O Prophet of Allah, and I make you witness. He's relieved from anything he wants. I put my entire debt away from him. What do you see here? It is not, it's not about just justice. Inna Allah ya'mur bil-'adl wa ihsan. Allah commands justice and ihsan, beauty, doing good things. Right? But if our perception of Allah is not as such, we act in a way that sometimes it's very ugly. How about this? I don't know if you guys understand this. فَمَا ظَنُّكُمْ بِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. What is your thought of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ. In the Quran, in Surah Al-Hajj. Do you get what I'm saying here? What does that mean? Some people, their image of Allah is what? Yeah, they like Allah, but it's about what? He's my means to get what I want. Allah for them is like the magic lantern, the genie, or like you rub it, the genie comes out. And so for them, Allah is just, but they know Allah is very powerful. Allah has everything. So therefore, my relation on Allah is based on what? What I want. So I worship Him to get. And immediately all my questions are what? Tell me what to do to get this. Tell me what to do so that Allah would do this. Tell me what to do. You get what? The problem is what? Yes, Allah is the most generous, Al-Wahhab. Allah is Al-Mu'ti. One of His divine names is what? Al-Mu'ti. Right? But He has other names too. What is the opposite of Al-Mu'ti? One of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Mani'. We will see that. Al-Mani' is the one that what? Holds back. The one that denies. The one that's going to tell you, no, you're not going to get. Are you willing to accept that? Is that a part of your image of Allah? What happens then if in life I worship but I didn't get what I want? Some people do what? Why didn't He give me? Astaghfirullah. Right? And they become angry at God. Now, Shaykh al-Sha'rawi of Egypt has a wonderful statement. He says the following, I wrote it here. He says the following. He says, تعبدوه ليعطي اعبدوه ليرضى فإذا رضي أدهشكم بالعطاء. You worship Him so that He would give you. That's why you're worshiping Him based on what you want. And He's saying, no, you've missed the point. Worship Him so that He would be pleased. For if He is pleased with you, He will amaze you with the type of gifts He's going to shower on you. So basically when we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is it based on my gain of Him? Some people select religions based on that criteria. Why is Islam not the right way? Sheikh, yes, can I date in Islam? No. Okay, that's not the correct religion. بل جاءهم بالحق وأكثرهم للحق كارهون. Allah says a very powerful statement. Namely, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought you the truth. But the problem is, they do not like the truth. What does that mean? This is something for all of us sitting in this room. When we go through this life, my interest is what? Where is the truth? الصدق بطلب الحق. Being truthful in seeking the truth. What if the truth is not what I want? What if the truth will make my life hard? Will you still follow it? That's truthfulness. Many of us, that's not how. I'm selecting religion. I'm selecting which sheikh to listen to. I'm selecting which fatwa to follow based on what? Not based on is it right or wrong. Based on what? Do I like it or not? Since when truth follows what I like? Is that my premise in my head? Is that my image of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? One of His names is what? Al-Haq. The truth. Allah is the reality, the real, the truth. He is Al-Haq. And Ya Allah, show me the truth. Even if I don't like it, even if it is hard, so be it. I'm going to try to follow it. That's an image I must have in my head about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A quick remark on Ismillah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Mani'. I'll just say one comment on this name. When I tell you Allah's al-Mani', the one that denies, do you like this name? Many of us, no, I don't. I want al-Mu'ti, right? I want the one that gives. Al-Mani' is one of the most beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Actually, I love that name. I really love that name. Al-Mani' is not only the one that holds. One of the meanings of Mani' is what? To protect. وَظَنُّوا أَنَّهُمْ مَانِعَتُهُمْ حُصُونُهُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ. When you have a fort, the walls of the fort is a protection. It's tamna. It guards, it protects. So subhanallah, now you understand what's going on with Al-Mani'. Al-Mani', He holds back. He denies in order to protect you. What does that mean? Very interesting. Imam Al-Ghazali has a very interesting comment. There is a name of Allah called the Hafiz, the guardian, the one that protects. Wallahu khayru hafidhan in the Quran. We all need this. Do you want Allah to protect your kids? Do you want Allah to protect you? I need it, right? I need protection. What is the difference between Al-Hafiz and Al-Mani'? Al-Mani' also protects. And he figured something very subtle. And an example I always give is the following. So my son wants he has a motorbike or something, right? And tell him, my son, here is a helmet. Please wear the helmet. He drives, he makes an accident, he falls, the helmet did what? It protected him, right? So in that example, you can say what? He was protected by doing what? Giving him a means of protection, the helmet, right? Versus another father would say what? My son, I am not going to give you the motorbike. Because this motorbike is going to be a means for harm. I'm going to deny you the motorbike to protect you from its harms. So al-mani' is the one that will deny you the means to harm. I want money. For you it's harmful. I'm not going to give you money. It is bad for you, I know you. No. Do you need that name? Yes. And that is why Sufyan al-Thawri has a very powerful statement. He says the following, and I hope you read this as we go through. He says, the blessing of Allah in Him denying me things in this life is more than His blessings in giving me things in this life. ربما أعطاك فمنعك وربما منعك فأعطاك. Perhaps He gives you and He's depriving you. And perhaps He's denying you and He's only giving you. Allah gives in holding back. So, do I understand Allah this way? Is that my image of Him? Right? See, all those, when things happen in life, I understand Him through this. Can I share with you one very powerful meaning of this? Our ummah that you can see today. There are some nations that are sometimes oppressed. Unjustly. Terrible things happen to them. People bomb them. People kill them. And they plead, Ya Allah, look at us, we're so weak. We've been killed. Ya Allah, please grant us means so that we can defend ourselves. Grant us victory. Give us power so we can defend ourselves. And Allah does what to them? He does not give them. Why? I'm going to ask it in a form of a question. Can it be the following? Okay, they are bad because they're doing what to you? Oh, they're killing women and they're killing children and they're killing us. Yes. If you were to have F-22s, what are you going to do? You understand my question? I hope you do. Yes, in some places in the world we're oppressed, we're weak. And people have more power and they're oppressing us and they're killing us. Right? But sometimes you say, well, I wonder, perhaps what will happen if you were given a nuclear weapon? Would you like some Muslim nations to have nuclear weapons? The answer is what? Is it that Allah knows that if you were given the means, you're going to become the monster you're fighting? And that is why Allah is denying us those means. And that is rahmah for us. It's a question. Does that describe our ummah? I wonder. And if that's the case, you can see the rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no, you be oppressed is better than you be an oppressor. I know you. You're weak. The only reason you're like this because you don't have the means. The moment I give you power and means, you're going to turn to be your own oppressor. Frankly, we saw it in the children of Israel. The Pharaoh oppressed them. Terrible things happen to them. The moment they gain power nowadays, what do they do to the weak people? The very same things that happen to them. So a very interesting question for us. Sometimes the only reason why I'm not doing something bad is because Allah's denying you the means. And He knows. If you're given what you're asking for, you turn to a monster. And therefore, that's why I need this name. I need al-mani'. Ya Allah, please, if you know that it's bad for me, deny me. Deny me that. And that's a gift. Right? Now, here is an interesting part. Now we're going to go to the survey. It's going to get really interesting. So we said there is two axes. One is the perception of God. The perception, let's say, of your father when we form a relation. We'll put that on the y-axis. The x-axis represents what? My perception of myself. What does that mean? Let's take examples. So a son. And you tell him, how was your father? My father was great. My mother was great. They're wonderful parents, right? So that would be what? Positive, right? In that axis. What about you? Are you lovable? That son can say the following. My father is a great person, but you know what? I have so many mistakes. I always take Fs. I always fail. I'm not good like him. Therefore, I don't think I deserve his love. You see what happened now? So his image of himself becomes what? My father has no problem, but I am the problem. Therefore, I wonder. Perhaps he doesn't love me. Many sisters, when they get married, sometimes when they get married to good brothers, this happens, I'm telling you honestly. Sometimes you see a sister married to a very good brother, you know what? That becomes a terrible thing in her head. Why? My husband is so great. He memorized the Quran. He's so gentle. He's so good. So my husband is very good. But what about me? I am too fat. I don't look good enough. I don't pray by night. Therefore, what's the conclusion? I'm not good enough for him. What kind of relation forms now? Anxious. Is he going to leave me? Does he love me? You see what happens? He's good, but the problem is me. And that's that region. If I'm there, I find myself doing what? I always want to perform. I'm always worried. I fall into anxiety. It's based on what? Basically, you're good, but I don't deserve. So, example with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you know that Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim? Yes. So when you say yes, how much is it? Is it plus 100? Is it plus 1,000? Or is it plus 30? Some people, they say, yes, Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. But their image of Allah's Rahmah, the vastness of it, isn't that high. It is like plus 30. But what about you? Oh my God, you don't know what I'm doing in my life. I do so many negative things. I am minus 100. What does that say? So in that case, you think that your negativity is bigger than Allah's Rahmah. Is that a correct image? That's dangerous, right? Okay, so that's one. What is this point here? This is someone who actually, let's take an example that you can relate to. A father that wasn't available for his son when he was growing up. Maybe he was sick. So that son learns to do what? I have to depend on myself. And he goes and he gets an education and right? And then when you ask him about his father, he's not dependable. I can't really rely on him, right? But I can rely on what? On me. So my image of myself is what? I'm good, I can. But when it comes to the other party, nah, it's not good enough. What type of relation can that form? This is called avoidance. That you know what? I don't trust other people. I rely on me. You better get an education. You better get enough money, right? So when I relate to other people, I'm not open enough. I'm avoidant. Are you following what can that lead to? Some brothers, they fall into that category. And I'll tell you in a very simple, typical case. You find the woman, for example, calling the husband, are you going to come for dinner tonight? No, I have work. Oh, what does that mean? It was our anniversary. Why isn't he coming? Does he love me? Why is he at work? And she starts to do what? That's a sign that what? He doesn't care about. Himself, he would be saying what? I don't understand him. I just told her last week I loved him. Right? And doesn't she see, why am I working? I'm working for her. And I feel smothered by this. Are you following? That would be what? Different styles. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes the same thing happens. Which quadrant am I? And you can look at them. Do I think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is positive? Sometimes people think secure is good. Allah, alhamdulillah, Allah is very good. And I'm okay too. That can be very dangerous. Why? You can fall, every single quadrant has challenges. You can fall into the disease of ghafla. Many brothers and sisters are that way. They tell you, I'm a good Muslim. Meaning what? I don't lie, I don't steal, I just pray 5 times a day, right? I'm good. And Allah's good. So basically Allah's good plus 30, I'm good plus 20. Khalas. Since I'm good and He's good, let me go on with life. Oh, there is a lecture in the masjid. I don't need to attend. Why don't you fast more? No, I'm okay. You see what happens? Because you think you're good and Allah's good, it can lead me to do what? Not relate to Allah. There is no drive to seek Him. That can be very dangerous. People this way, people that are overly secure here, one way Allah brings them back is what? Slips and mistakes. He dictates that they slip and make something terrible so that they wake up. Right? So those are like the different attachment styles. I'm going to go quickly here. Now, when I say how do we perceive Allah as a loving God, what do you mean by Allah's love and Allah's? There are different attributes. The things that I attempt to measure in this survey, and I'll show you the result, is the following. Do I perceive Allah as graceful? This is one of the most important. What does grace mean? What do I mean by that? Basically, I don't deserve. When I tell you I'm going to give you something. You see, but I don't deserve it. I say, I know you don't deserve it, but I want to give it to you anyway. How do you feel about that? Many of us can't accept it, can you? If I come and tell you, what, you're going to be the CEO of my company. Yeah, it's good, but many of us would feel what? but I don't deserve it. Why are you doing this to me? I have to earn it, right? Grace is not this way. Grace is when Allah comes and says, I know you're not good enough. I know you're not deserving enough. I know you're not, but you know what? Out of my grace, it has nothing. I am just going to let it pass. Theoretically speaking, we all should be what? Celebrating grace. So what is the image of Allah's grace in our head? Compassion. Rahmah. Right? This is one measure. Personal and near is a very important measure that I'll be honest with you, it kind of shocked me in the beginning. If I tell you Allah's most compassionate, Allah's Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, many of us would say, yes brother, I know Allah's Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. But you know what? I don't have any personal relation with Him. Example. If I came to this class right now and they say, you know what? Everyone in this room, I have a gift for you. Here's an iPhone 6 for everyone in the room. What are you going to say about me? Generous, right? Kind. Do you have any doubt that I'm generous? I don't think so, right? But I'll ask you this. Do I have any personal relation with any of you? You see, yes, He gave me, but He gave everyone else, right? Are you following? Therefore, there is no personal relation. There is nothing special between me and Him. He gives, but it's because I am just one of many. Some people, the image of Allah is that way. Allah's Ar-Rahman, Allah's compassionate. But you know what's the problem? Allah's Ar-Rahman for everyone. And I'm just one of people. Do you have a personal relation one-to-one with Him? And the answer is, what does that mean? Can I give you an example from the Quran, a measure of this? And I was shocked, wallahi, I will be honest with you, when I even said the word once and people didn't, what? They didn't, the concept of munajah. And I was shocked that people don't understand what is munajah. I never heard about this before. Do you know dua? Dua is what? You raise your hands and you ask, what is munajah? Munajah is talking to Allah. What do you mean talking to Allah? Like Maryam alayhi salam in the Quran. When she goes, so not Maryam, Hannah, Maryam's mother in the Quran, Al-Imran, right? When she goes and she speaks to Allah, she says what? إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا. Oh Allah, whatever is in my womb, I dedicate for you. And then she gave birth to a girl, Maryam. What did she say? رَبِّي إِنِّي وَضَعْتُهَا أُنْثَى. Oh Allah, I gave birth to a female. And a female is not equal to a male. Right? And I'm going to name her Maryam. Is that a dua? What is she doing with Allah here? I don't know if you get that. Did she ask for anything? Does Allah know? Why? What are you speaking about? Ya Allah, I'm going to call her Maryam. She's a female. What are you speaking about, right? So many of us see the image of Allah. No, you don't go to Allah this way. You have to sit proper. Raise your hand. What is the proper dua? Right? Teach me the dua. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? Yes, it's good, but sometimes the most powerful dua for you is the one that comes from your heart. If I teach you a dua and anybody teach you a dua, it's good to say, but you don't have any feelings in it. Are you following what I'm saying? So, is Allah personal and near? Is that the image of Allah in my head? Is Allah a source of help and aid? Or is Allah just watching? Al-Mu'in, one of His attributes, the one that aids. He participates, He's the one. When I have a problem with myself, I go to Him, help me with me. Do I perceive Allah as my source of aid, or He's watching, waiting for me? Did you get it right or get it wrong? See, all those are things that needs to be assessed, right? Now, so basically what happened, and I'm going to show you the result, I did this survey, 50 questions. So it's very tricky. 50 questions that assess those things. And I gave them to about 200 people total, right? And you collect the answers using, as we discussed before, statistical techniques, math. Right? You can take the data and you can start to compare, you can start to quantify. When you say God is graceful, okay, I say God is graceful. How do I compare to all of you? What is your average? What is the average of the females to the males? How do you guys compare to our shuyukh? You know, Sheikh Yasser, Sheikh Muhammad Faqih, right? They took the survey too. And the results. Wouldn't you like to see where they are and where you are? Right? Because one of the things I discovered, which is also very shocking, many people whose image of Allah is negative, you know what's their biggest obstacle? They don't realize that. They don't realize, they think of Allah correctly. Are you following how dangerous that is? What if, you think that your image of Allah is good, you say yes. How do you know? Did you compare it to someone? The answer is, the shock for me was there are some people that their image of Allah is very distorted, and yet when you ask them, they didn't realize it. And when they see the results, they're shocked. What? I didn't know I'm this way. But that is a big blessing. Because now you can start to do what I see what I need to fix. Right? So this is also a very important concept, especially for people that go for therapy and counseling. Look, I really believe in this. Healing is not about the resolution of the past, but it's to use your past to get you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning what? I might have been raised in a family that's abusive. I might have terrible things in my past. Healing is not resolving it, no. Healing is about using whatever was in my past to aid me to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single quadrant has a challenge. If I'm here, it's okay. Here meaning what? I think of Allah as negative and me as negative. Right? Every single quadrant has a challenge. Why is this important? If a person is anxious and he thinks that Allah is going to punish him, and whenever I make a mistake, I'm definitely going to hellfire, should I speak to that person about fear of Allah? No. Right? On the other hand, if a person is overly secure, maybe that's the one that needs to hear about the fear of Allah and wara, right? But every single quadrant has its challenge. Now to go to the results. The explanation and then the main point. So what's going on here? Okay, you guys, I'm assuming you understand bar graphs at least. So here is what is going. Each one of those is an index. Index meaning what? A way to measure. So the first two is different indexes in measuring what? The overall image of Allah as loving. How high is it? This is your image of Allah as a cup-like. Do you think that Allah is like a universal cosmic cup as we discussed or not? This is despairing slips. This is one of the most important ones I want you to focus on. Grace. Personal and nearness. What do the bar graphs represent? Okay. The green one is where the shuyukh are. Red one, the sisters, females. Blue one, males. Are there any differences between males and females? Right? And we're going to see more of this, right? Are there any difference between us and the shuyukh, right? What is the purple one? This is an individual. So if you get a report, basically it shows you average of the males, average of the females, average of the shuyukh, and this is your own score. So this is the score of one sister in particular. Right? So when you look here, first of all, if the shuyukh are like about 65, loving God, you find the sisters that the average is half where it should be. Right? But the one that I want us to focus on that is really shocking is this one. Grace. Compassion. And this I expected that I know, what I know of sisters is that the idea of compassionate and loving God is very high. Right? I expected that it be higher than the males. It's actually 1/3 where it should be, relative to the shuyukh. The image of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as graceful, and our ability to accept grace somehow is hindered. Why? And this became a question. What's going on here? Why is that too low? We have Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah's most common name, right? What happened? Where is Rahmah? Why can't we feel that Rahmah? What's going on, right? So that became a question here. Now here's another interesting one. What is this? This is the perception of the self, right? And again, I'm just going to go quickly. The most important are those. Secure and anxious, self-worth, right? And you can see the sisters are actually negative. What does that mean? This result is saying the following. See where the shuyukh, when the shaykh thinks of himself, he thinks, you know what, I have mistakes. But I'm okay with my mistakes. Yeah, I'm a human being. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have mistakes, but you know what, I'm working on it. And I'm okay with myself, with my mistakes. Allah created me that way. I'm okay. I'm still lovable. I'm still okay. Allah can still love me. I'm trying. When it goes negative, it means what? I'm not okay. I'm not lovable. I have a problem with me. I'm anxious. And what this shows is, subhanAllah, what's going on here? This is negative, right? And this sister in particular, you can see it's very negative, right? That's actually dangerous. Her idea of herself is what? I'm a terrible person, right? Now, going more into details, and by the way, you can do this per group. I'm not going to discuss this. I can easily run the survey here and I can show you. Here's the average in California, here's the average in ISOC. You see what I'm saying? You can use this in a particular group setting. You attended an MSA. What is the MSA
how's the MSA compared to the rest of people, right? But one of the things that shocked me was this. I just want to show you this. This is by age. Meaning what? Is there a difference between people under 25, people 30, people 40? What is the trend? And I did this on a Mila camp. Like it's a group of people. They took the survey. And it was very interesting because look the way it looked. The green again is the shoe. This is under 30, right? Under 30, under 40, under 50, and elderly. I don't know if you see, you know what that means? It means the following. Our youth, their image of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very low. Our elderly fathers, your image of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very high. Look at grace, the attribute of grace. The young people between the age 20 to 30, females, the score is 2.5 on grace. Compared to the elderly people, 63. What does that tell you? Between me and my son, there might be a gap. That can be very dangerous. If I think of Allah in a certain way, and my son is thinking of Allah in a different way, and I start to speak to him, it can cause problems. Are you following? Now, the main question that we want to address this time, I'm just going to skip this. This shows like the results. I just want to go to the point, right? Again, I'm going to be quick here. I don't want to give you statistics. We're not here to do statistics, right? So basically, this shows what? Grace versus self-worth. The two things that is there a relation between them? I noticed something, and indeed this says what? I don't know if you see, it's almost like a straight line. You know what this is saying? Saying the following. There is a relation between how we perceive of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Ar-Rahman, as compassionate, and our image of ourselves. If you think that Allah is graceful, automatically what happens? You're okay with yourself. If you think, or your perception of Allah, of grace is very low, then you have a problem with your own self-image. Right? Why is that important? If I want to improve my anxiety, then I have to do what? Improve my vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as graceful. Now, here comes an interesting part now. What is up with anxiety? What's up with that? What's this anxiety that's, right? And I'm going to share something with you, like hopefully make you a little bit laugh and make it lighter, but it's very powerful, right? Why zebras don't have any answers? Zebras, what are you speaking about? Well, zebras, they have their challenges too, right? I mean, yeah, he's grazing, right? But all of a sudden, things happen in their life. And all of a sudden you see what? He has to panic and he has to run. There is things that can attack him and kill him, right? But I'll ask you this. After this happens, 1 hour later, what happens with the zebra? Done, right? He's back grazing. You see that? Nothing happened. Well, my question to you is the following. What if it was me? What if that zebra had my mind? What would happen? A tiger runs after him, he escapes. But then what does he do? He starts doing what? What will happen if he come again tomorrow? I have kids. What will I do about it? You see, and he starts to do what now? Think. And he starts to think, really, and he starts to do what? Imagine it would have been terrible, right? Oh, if that guy got me, and he would tear me apart, and now he's imagining what? Imagining that threat. How is he feeling? Terrible, right? Are you following what's going on? Did you ever do mental rehearsals? You want mental rehearsals? Tomorrow when I go to work, my boss is going to say this, I'm going to say that, and if she says this, I'm going, you know what I mean? And you live the scenario, and you don't know what to do, and if this happens, then this, if this happens, then this, and you're already suffering, because you're already living it, you're feeling it, right? You're beating yourself up, and you can't stop. So this guy does what? Now if he's like us, I have to find the solution. Will that work? Right? No, maybe that won't work. You know, I heard that cats can climb trees. No, it doesn't work well, right? I need to get one of those. Maybe I can escape, you know. Right? But, you know, gas price is so high, especially in California, that won't work. Karate lessons. But what if there is 2 of them? It won't work, right? Are you following what's going on? So, I have one peace treaty. We make a peace treaty. I make a deal with the guy, right? What's going on here? Right? I'm making this money on purpose. This is what ends up happening. What is stress? Stress is caused by what? Okay, a lion raced after you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved you. You're safe. But now I spent the last 3 nights doing what? Thinking about possible scenarios, right? That causes me to do what? Stress. So stress has to do with what? Mind going into different scenarios and I'm living it. Are you following that? No. Does this look familiar? And again, I'm trying to put it in a way that we understand. And you see what this has a reason why I'm saying this, right? An event happened. I become insecure. Then the moment I'm insecure, I say what? I have to figure it out. Because we are living in a society today that we cannot deal with uncertainty. Uncertainty is not something good. You better know what to do. Right? So I'm insecure, something happened, I'm insecure, I lost my job, I better get a new job. What if I can't? I start to do what? Figure it out. In many cases, alhamdulillah, our analytical brain comes with a solution. But sometimes in life, you try to figure it out and the brain comes and tells you what? I don't know. I really don't know. Should I get married to that guy or not? Should I get divorced or not? Should I, you know what I mean? Big issues in your head. And then the brain says what? I really don't know. I don't know the answer. But now I don't know causes me to do what? I'm not happy with that. I start to be anxious. So I start to beat my brain saying what? Go, try, get to the bottom of it. It's uncertain. I don't know. And I start to do what? I start to beat myself up. And if you go this way, I start to do what? Panic. Are you following what I'm trying to allude to? There is a reason for this. Does this sound familiar? Start with a problem, become insecure, try to figure it out. I have to know what to do, right? What is the answer? I try harder, I disapprove of myself. Why can't I figure it out? I beat myself more, I still hold to the problem, I still think about it, and what happens? I go into a cycle. Now, from a spiritual perspective, that's a hijab between you and Allah. I just want you to know this. This, what I'm drawing here, where is Allah in this? Where is Allah? This is what a person by himself, trying to figure it out by himself. This over planning, tadbir in that way is one of the thickest veils between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very dangerous. And the more you go into that cycle, I'll tell you something. You become more what? Anxious. Can I ask you a question? If somebody is angry, is it good to think logically when you're angry? If I'm angry, should I think, should I act? The answer is no. You should do what first? Calm down, right? Thoughts that you have while you're angry are not good thoughts. Thoughts that you have when you're anxious are what? Are not good thoughts. Thoughts, if I'm depressed, many people try to figure it out and think their way out of depression. If I'm depressed, if my mood is negative, my thoughts will be what? Negative. And then they make my mood do what? Go more negative. And then the thoughts will be worse, right? So I need to break this. I hope you see what I'm speaking about. Right? We walk and we have thousands of things in our heads. Like, we're reaching to what I need. So here is the part that's important to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is from neuroscience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created the brain, even this is found in animals, right? And you'll see what I'm alluding to. There is 3 systems that scientists identified in the brain. One system even animals have, and it's very important. It's called the threat system. What is this threat system? Like the zebra, right? There are dangerous things outside. If something dangerous happens, Allah created in the system, in the mind, a system that's called the threat system. It becomes active, and it makes you focus on the danger, and it's necessary for you to do what? To survive. The response of a threat system is usually 3 things. Either fight, flight, or do what? Freeze. Are you following? So under threat, automatically, if you're threatened, you don't have to think rationally. Allah designed the brain to do what? This system gets activated, it overtakes your brain. The response is either anger and fight, or fear, run, or freeze. Right? Are you following that? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made another system. That is the drive system. But the zebra does other things than just running all the time. You need what? You need to eat and drink. So there is shahwa, there is lusts. Right? That drives me to do and seek. Right? This is what we call the blue system, and I'll go a little bit faster. The third one is the one I'm interested in. Assalamu alaikum. The soothing system. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed in the brain, and this is also in a spiritual sense, this is the system that's responsible for what? Calming down. If you watch a cat, what does the cat do most of the day? Is it running from a dog? 2% of the time. Is she eating? 20% of the time. What is the cat doing the rest of the time? She's chilling. Right? Did you watch animals? They're just chilling around. And they what? Do they need stimulus? They just sit by themselves and do what? Chill out. How about us? If you know what I mean, we can't sit by ourselves. It has to be what? I need stimulus. I need to seek, I need to watch something. Are you following me? So this is what I just talked about, right? So it's only 2%. This is activated 2% of the time. This may be 30% of the time. But this system, which is the soothing system, which has the ability to calm me down, is most of my time is in it. Now here comes the religious part I want to focus on quickly. How can we calm down? This is very important, and I'll show you where it comes to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't know if you see the picture. When a baby comes here, a dog enters the room, and the dog starts barking. The baby is what? Scared, danger, right? What does the baby do? What's the first thing the baby does? Runs to who? The mother or the father. If a lion enters, the baby will do what? Run to the mother or the father. You know, if there's a lion in this room and I held my baby and said it's okay, what will happen? Will he be afraid? He'll calm down. Are you following that? There's a lion, but just notice how did I do? Those are not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does those things for reasons. Do I do it logically? Son, look, it's a lion. We have a gun. We can. You don't do that. The first thing when a kid is panicking, you do what? Hug him. Touch. Are you following this? Hug. Not the logical. The logic is not there, right? Hug. It's okay. It's okay. And the tone of the voice, right? Then when this happens, whatever danger that exists, I feel what? I calm down. Now when I calm down, I can think properly. Are you following? Even animals, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that Allah made compassion 99 parts, right? One of them He sends to earth, and this is the one you see animals having compassion with, right? So even in animals, this concept exists. And here is a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam just to touch upon this. What happens if someone doesn't have a parent? I don't have someone to calm me down. What happens? An orphan. Becomes very hard. When you're denied that big hug, right? That is why the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the reason I'm putting this here is for a reason I want to show you. What did the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tell us about an orphan? He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was an orphan. So he said what? Me and the one that من يكفل اليتيم أنا وكافل اليتيم كهاتين. You know, nowadays we have this symbol. You guys know this symbol? Young guys? Hunger Games, right? I can't do that anymore, right? Egypt. And there is another symbol. أنا وكافل اليتيم, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Me and the one that takes care of an orphan. I'm like this in general. But can I ask you something? And this is why I'm putting this slide. And this expresses a lot. What this orphan is lacking, right? I don't think we got it. When I say sponsoring an orphan, how many people here sponsored an orphan? Alhamdulillah, I do. But can I ask you something? I did not fulfill what the Prophet ﷺ said. When I tell you sponsor an orphan, how do you do it? Check. Is that what a sponsor an orphan is? Dollars? What we're speaking about here is what they need touch. They need love more than your dollars. That is why the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Darda came and he complained. And this is something I wish we can understand. This is my complaint too. My heart is as a rock. I don't know what to do. I pray, I fast, it's as a rock. I'm complaining. And that's Abu Darda telling the Prophet ﷺ, my heart, qasar. It's like very hard. And the Prophet ﷺ told him what? Do you want your heart to soften and your needs to be fulfilled? Do you have any need in your life? Do you want your needs to be taken care of? You want your heart to soften? what did the Prophet ﷺ say? He did not say spend on an orphan. Show rahmah, show compassion to an orphan. Right? Put your hand on his head, wipe his head. The concept of what? Touch, hug him, feed him from your food. Are you following? Why is that? The concept of touch in Islam is very important. Right? But we miss this. Human beings, we need that element, the element of compassion. Right? I go a little bit fast. I added this. The problem is the following. If the brain is trapped between those three systems and it does not, remember what we said, the soothing system, you need to be soothed by something, right? Parents is one. But also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is definitely Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Right? The question becomes, let me finish with this maybe. Can I take 5 more minutes? I just want to conclude. What blocks Rahmah? I go very fast. And this is why I'm doing this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. He says, Rahmati wasi'at kulli shay. His Rahmah encompasses everything. If He's Ar-Rahman, if He gives Rahmah, can it be that I am not taking it? Can there exist something that can block me from receiving Rahmah? Is there a Rahmah blocker? And the answer is yes. And unfortunately, I can tell you what it is. I'll give you an example. Please, and especially sisters, please answer this with honesty. If you were to enter this room and you found a sister crying, and you go, what's going on? She said, I took an F in my exam. You know, I was supposed to study yesterday, but I didn't study. I went out with my friends. And as a result, I took an F. That was terrible. How are you going to speak to that sister? What do you do as sister? What's the first thing you do? Hug her. Give her a big hug and then you tell her what? It's okay. It's okay, right? What if you saw me do the following? I went in, I found that sister and said, you fool, you'll never succeed. If you continue to do this, you'll always fail. You'll be no one. You'll be a homeless person. That is terrible. What are you going to say about me? Am I a good person? No. You're going to tell me what? What are you on earth are you doing? You're bullying her. And they say, no, I'm doing this to motivate her to be better. Does it sound right? Okay. Now answer the question. If that sister was yourself, how do you speak to yourself when you make a mistake? Is it A or B? I hope you got my point. When I slip, do I bully myself? Okay. Threats. Remember the zebra? The example was for the following. The brain cannot distinguish between an external real threat and a virtual thought. If you think about something, it is as real as it gets. Can it be that I'm activating my threat system? Am I bullying myself? What happens when we make a mistake? How do we talk to ourselves? I hope you're getting me, right? Now, why is that important? Allow me to go fast here. This is why. One thing that can block our reception of Allah's rahmah. What can make you reject compassion? What can make a human being, when even there is compassion around him, he says no? What can make a human being do that? I can come with one. It is shame. I'm not worth. I don't deserve it. Have you ever thought of that? You know what is shame? You're bad. You're terrible. You don't deserve it, right? Shame, yeah, you're good, but I can't take it because I'm not good enough. I deserve punishment. I'm a terrible person. You see that? I'm horrible. Shame blocks the reception of compassion. And this, what I'm saying here is very important, because now here's the interesting question. Are we a shame-based culture? How are our 3 circles? Right? If I was to ask you, draw the 3 circles. Many people, they end up like that. I'm always in the threat mode. And the threat mode is not always external. Sometimes it is me. I'm beating myself up. I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible person. And we cannot differentiate between accountability and self-bullying. Have you ever heard this phrase before? Hadith bullying. Sorry, I need to go a little bit fast. Hadith bullying is what? I even noticed it in the way we motivate each other. Meaning what? Tell my son that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, you have to be good to your parents. Tell my son, right, that Al-Jannah, paradise is under the feet of the mother. Tell my son, and sometimes we take hadith, and what do? Bully someone to do something. Wives and husbands. Tell my wife, if she does not please me, the angels will curse her. You know what I'm speaking about? Sometimes people will take hadith and they start bullying other people with it. What is going on? Why are you doing this? To be honest with you, they're actually trying to motivate you. Basically, my son is not treating me well. I want him to treat me well. How do I do it? If I find out that he's religious, what do I do? Okay, let me start quoting hadiths for him. About a companion who did not treat his mother well, and at his deathbed, he couldn't even say La ilaha illallah. Right? And I start saying things like, what? Son, you think you're a Muslim? Brother, this is not Islam. One of the worst things that you can ever say. If a person, he has a problem. If you tell him, if your son is not treating you well, there is two ways to make him treat you well. One is bullying. You have to, else you're going to go to hellfire. He'll hate you for it. He'll treat you well and he'll hate you for it. The second is what? I want you to want to treat me well. Motivation is not through fear. Motivation is not through threats. Do we have a culture that is a shame-based culture? Shame-based meaning what? When I do something wrong, I say the following. I did something wrong. That's positive. That's guilt. That's good. Versus if I do something wrong, you're bad. You're wrong. I don't know if you see the difference. When we slip, how do we treat each other? Do we shame each other? If the answer is yes, that's an exterior shame. And people that are in an environment that way, when my parents do that to me, son, you're a failure. Son, you'll be no one. Guess what? When I'm 40 years old, I go to work, I slip, I make a mistake, the voice I will hear in my head is the voice of what? It's actually the voice of my father. You're a failure, you're a failure, you're a failure. Threat, shame, right? Shame can block the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I hope you're with me. So what we want to discuss in the class that follows, how the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I don't have time to go through everything, so I'll just conclude here. How the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam dealt with this. When righteous people slip, sometimes we do something wrong. Is there any kind of shaming in Islam? Do you shame people that do wrong? But many of us are under the impression of what? You can't treat them nicely or kindly, because when I treat you kindly, that means what? I'm approving. And some people would say what? And I can give you a survey of this. They're afraid from compassion. They say, brother, if I treat people kindly, they'll make use of me. They'll abuse me. Actually, why aren't you kind to yourself? Why do you have to abuse yourself that much? What happens if you drop your self-bullying mind? No, I can't afford that. I'll become lazy. I need to beat myself up, because if I don't beat myself up, what will happen to me? My standards will lower, you see that? But I have a question for you. And I give it to you an example. Beating yourself up does not help. It actually activates the threat system. You feel terrible about yourself, and that, you know what most of us happens? We freeze. Isn't it? That sometimes when we bully ourselves, what we end up doing? Doing nothing. Can I give it to you in a very simple way? When I make a mistake, I need to punish, but I need to punish what? I need to punish the culprit. Who's the culprit? Myself. Nafs, the ego. How do you punish the ego, the self? With more ta'ah, fasting more, giving charity, praying more. That's punishing the culprit. But if I make a mistake and I punish me as a whole, Hassan, you're a fool. You're no one. You're terrible. You're worthless. You are activating the threat system, which will cause you to do what? Either drop the matter altogether, either become angry, or freeze. This doesn't work. Right? Here, inshallah. So I just want to skip this. So, what we're going to see, inshallah, next time, something very different. I'm going to go through the Quran. And we're going to take one example, which is the Battle of Uhud. When people really messed up, as we discussed last time. Some of the companions disobeyed the Prophet ﷺ. The consequences was grave. Remember how we discussed it? What happened when they did that? It was a terrible thing. How did Allah address this in the Quran? How does Allah address this lip syncing? And we'll go from verse 122 inshallah to 179, verse by verse, trying to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. Trying to see how can I get rid of all what I showed you here, this zebra mental rehearsal. It happened to the companions, the Quran mentioned it. How do we get rid of this? What is the solution? Right? We'll see it through the Quranic verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah. And you'll see the conclusion is sometimes the faults that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dictates on people are the best gifts that He gives them. We can find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our faults. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خيرا.